Hello, Phil Conrad here for Computer Science 156. In this series of videos, I'm going to walk through all of the code changes for a database table for the back end to establish CRUD operations. During fall 24, this is the team01 project, and I'm going to be going through each of the GitHub issues that are initially on the Kanban board for each team member. But I'm going to be doing a different database table, one that's not part of the six that are part of the assignment. That way, I'm not giving away the answer to any of the team members, but what I'll be doing is exactly parallel to what you will be doing in the project. So let's get started. You can see here on my screen that I have a terminal window. And let me make it a little bit bigger, make it a little bit easier to read what I'm typing. I'm going to cd into the directory where I have the repo for team01. This is the repo for the staff. And I'm going to open that repo in VS Code. One thing to note is that I always want to open the repo in the directory where the pom.xml is and where, if I did ls-a, you see the git subdirectory. This allows VS Code's plugins that work with Spring Boot and later with React and also with Git to do their job properly. It is possible to use VS Code, opening it in some other directory, but it doesn't work as well. Notice here I have team01 staff, and all of the files that are shown under there are exactly the files in the repo. If I had, for example, instead gone up one directory and opened VS Code here, you would see that I have each of my projects here, but, and I would say, yes, I trust the authors, but it's actually going to not, some of the IntelliSense and all the things that help me with refactoring code and finding syntax errors, they're just not going to work properly if I set things up this way. Notice how some of these are already starting to turn yellow because it doesn't like it when you do that. So let's go back into team01 staff. We'll open VS Code properly here in the right directory. And so now that we've got VS Code open, let's open our Kanban board. So github.com UCSB, and I'm going to go to team01 staff. And that repo is linked to the project. Let me keep this tab open to the repo. We may need that later. I'll open the project in another tab. And we can see here on the Kanban board, these issues here that are marked that I've claimed all have to do with commits. If I want to see just the issues for commits, I can type commit up here, and it will show just those 6 issues. So that's convenient. And the first one, you can see they're in order here, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. Those are my 6 issues. I can, by the way, also see my 6 issues if I go to issues, and you can see they're all labeled with commit, just like the other ones are labeled with articles or help request. So that's another way that I can find my 6 issues. And the first one we're going to do is creating my personal Dokku Dev Deployment. So let's do that. I'm going to open another, actually, let me do it here in this window. Command T will open another tab. Notice that I'm using my terminal outside of VS Code. I strongly prefer that because I get a nice big terminal window. I'm not sort of over here in VS Code trying to peer into some little tiny window at the bottom of my screen. And also that means that my VS Code window has plenty of space for me to work. So over here, I'm going to SSH to pconrad at cecil.cs.ucsb.edu. I will SSH to Dokku00. And I will Dokku apps create. And I believe I want this to be team01 dev pconrad. I actually think I already have one of these. So I'm going to do pconrad 1, just since I want to do this from scratch. So there is my app. Now, what else do I need to do? Let's see. I want to follow the steps in deploying an app. So let's actually go look at those. Um, so I logged into Dokku. I created the app. Need to define the environment variable. So the first thing I'll do is I'll do this, remembering to change app name. So I'll paste that in and change app name to team01 dev pconrad1. Setting production to true just configures the app so that it will run the back end and the front end from the same port, and which is what we do when we run on Dokku. It tries to restart and it says app image not found. That's normal because we haven't given it an app image yet. So let's see. The next thing we want is a Google Client ID, client secret, and admin emails. So for that, I need to go to the Google Developer Console, and I will go in and I need to go under API Services Credentials. I need to be sure that I've selected a project. I'm going to use the UCSB CS156 project. This is team01. And under team01, I have already created a project, but I'm going to add another URI here. And this one will be dev01, team01 dev pconrad 0. So I'll add that and save it. And then I already have, like I said, team01. I can copy my client ID. Over here, I'm going to want to copy from .env.sample. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Dokku directory. I want to do this actually over here in team01 staff. I'm going to copy from .env.sample to .env. And then I'm going to bring this up in VS Code. I'm going to go to my .env, put the Google Client ID in there. And then I also want over on Dokku config set on team01 dev pconrad1. Did I call it pconrad1? I'll make sure I did that over in the Google Developer Console. I have a feeling I did not. I called it pconrad 0. That needs to be pconrad 1. Otherwise, they would not match. So we'll fix that. Come back over here. I've got my Google Client ID here. And then over on Dokku, I set my, okay, here we go. This is where I'm going to set my client ID. So Google Client ID equals, there's the Google Client ID. Dokku config set team01 dev pconrad1 Google Client secret equals, and then we'll get the Google Client secret from over here. I do that here, and there's the client secret. Copy it, paste it in. There it is. For admin emails, I want to add all of the folks that are on my team. For this one, I'm going to briefly pause and go get that from Slack. All right, resuming, and I've copied the list of admin emails from Slack. There is the list that includes myself and all the members of the staff. Be sure to remember, if you paste that in, to fix that, because it won't like it otherwise. Now I'll copy that line and come back over here. And, oh, I didn't finish setting the Google Client secret. All right, let's do that first. So here's my Google Client secret. And I will paste that in. And of course, I'm going to need to rotate that secret after I finish making this video, because I'm exposing the secret here in a video that's going to be on the internet. We don't want that secret to get out. That would compromise our security. But for the purposes of the video, there it is. And then I will get the admin emails. Oops, sorry. Copy the admin emails. Come back over here. And let's see, Dokku config set team01 dev pconrad1. There's all my admin emails. Again, the app image not found is normal at this stage. Let's go back to our instructions for deploying an app. So we've set client ID, client secret, and admin emails. We need to do this Let's see. This is just saying how to set the name, but this one we have to do separately. So let's do that. We need to set getDir true, or else it will not deploy properly. So this is team01 dev pconrad1. And now that we've done that, create and link the Postgres database. So let's go follow the steps there. We'll start by creating the database. And so my new app in this case is team01 dev pconrad1. And then we're going to link. So let's give that a minute to finish cooking here. It's creating the database. And in a moment, I will paste the link command. The link command, we put the database name first and the app name second. Let me make that bigger so it's easier to see in the video. Okay, still waiting on the container to be ready. Takes a minute to spin this all up. We'll pause the video briefly. Okay, unpausing. That only took about 60 seconds. So it didn't take that long, but I didn't want to just have the 60 seconds of silence in the video. Now that that is created, we will link it. So I will change this to, let's see, team01 dev pconrad1. And this will be team01 dev pconrad1. Okay, now that it's linked, we have this database config var, and we have to do this annoying thing where we set up three different, we sort of deconstruct the database URL that was given and set up three new environment variables. This is sort of unfortunate that we have to do this, but so far I've not figured out a way for the Spring Boot app to just directly use the database URL. Would love to figure that out, but so far we've not been able to. So this time we're going to use the no restart, even though there's no app to restart, so it wouldn't really matter at this point, but it's a little cleaner. team01 dev pconrad1, that's our app. The JDB database username is Postgres. The JDB database password, and again, we will need to rotate this secret since we are exposing this to the internet. That would be something that a hacker could make a lot of use of, so we don't want that. This is the portion of the URL that is the password. It's everything after the colon and up to the @ sign. So I'm going to copy that and use that as my password value. So there's the JDB database password. Then I also need to set the JDB database URL. And that needs to start with precisely, let's get it here, this, JDB and then PostgreSQL. And if you make a spelling mistake there, the app will not start, and you'll get errors, and the errors will say something about Postgres or Liquidbase or something, but it'll be a database-related error because it can't find the right driver. All right, now what we need to do after that is we take basically everything that's in the JDB. Let's see here. I find the database URL. And we want to take everything from the @ sign to the end. So everything from, not all of that. I will go ahead and paste that in, and then we'll have to edit it. Nope, that's not right. Let's try that again. I want to take everything from the @ sign to the end. And unfortunately, my terminal's being a little uncooperative here. Let's see if we try it that way, and I'll just type the Dokku-Postgres-. So Dokku-Postgres- and then there it is. So everything from the @ sign to the end, That's what goes on this with that JDBC PostgreSQL prefix. All right, there it is. Let's come back and look at our instructions. We have taken care of that. Now we should be able to do Dokku PS rebuild, except we haven't done the git sync yet, so that's not going to work. So let's do the git sync. So we have to follow the instructions in deploying an app. So we go back over here. I should fix that link because this is going to the unformatted version of the instructions. But let's, if we go back here, deploying an app. These are the right instructions. So we are down to, we got down to the Postgres database. This is where we want to resume. And I recognize those other instructions. The path is not quite clear. I will fix that. But for the time being, this is the next step we want. Dokku git sync. And our app name is team01 dev Conrad1. The owner of the repo is our UCSB organization, used to be CS156F24. The repo is team01 staff. In your case, it'll be team01 and then your team name. And we're deploying the main branch. So we'll do that. Do the git sync. Give that a moment to cook. It needs to go and pull the commits from GitHub. All right, good. Be sure also to use the HTTPS link here. We normally are using the SSH links, but for this, when we deploy in this way with a public repo, we need the HTTPS link, not the SSH link. So now we're ready to do Dokku PS rebuild on team01 dev pconrad1. And this will take a minute to go through. I'll try to talk through what's happening here. It uses the Docker file in the repo to set things up. The first thing it has to do is actually install the operating system. So apt-get update is installing the latest version of Ubuntu. Now it's installing the OpenJDK 21, all the Java 21 Java development kit. That takes a moment. If this takes too long, I'll pause and then we'll resume. So you can see it's downloading all of this. It's also downloading Python because we use Python for a few of the steps for installing the Node version manager and the version of Node that we're using. So setting up Java, setting up Python, setting up then Node version manager and Node. You can see we're setting up curl, which is the utility that's used to download things from the web. That's what we use to get the Node version manager. We're installing bash because we need the bash shell in order to carry out certain commands. It says that one's already installed, so that's fine. Most of the just the setting up of the operating system, the Linux operating system, the Ubuntu version of it is just about done. All right, I will pause the video here and then we'll resume it when there's something interesting to see. Okay, so now it's installing Maven. You can see it's setting up Maven. We will need that in order to do all of the Java code. And then Python's already the newest version, so keep going. It would be great if we could figure out how to cache some of this. I think that on subsequent runs, some of these steps are cached and they run a lot faster. But the first time you set up one of these, it does take a while. All right, so we've gotten through a lot of the setup. Now we're into the part where it's actually going to be building our application. So first of all, we just do Java minus version to make sure that we've got the right version of Java. It's version 21, which is good, that we've got the right version of curl. Now we're actually downloading NVM, which we will need. We get the right version of Node 2017.0. It's just showing, making sure that we're installing 2017.0. So now that the correct version of Node is installed. Okay, we've gotten through all the Node installation. Now what we're doing is we're copying the entire contents of the repo into the home app directory, and we're ready to actually start the Maven build. So the Maven build first has to download all of the Java dependencies. At some point, it will actually then, extracting NPM, it's going to actually start doing the npm CI command. This is actually driven from the Java pom.xml using a plugin that allows you to do the node operations from within the Java pom.xml. The production equals true flag is what triggers this. So it is now building the front end application. Again, this takes a moment, so I will pause the video for a moment. Okay, so you now see build success. So it was successful at building the Java and the JavaScript applications, and it's getting ready to actually try to do the Maven Spring Boot run and start the application. And then it does these health checks. It's basically checking to say, all right, I think I started up a web application. Is there a web application? Can I go to the root of that web application and actually see something? Is there something listening on port 5000? Note that when we run on localhost, it runs on port 8080, but by default on Docker, it runs on port 5000. And then port 5000 is mapped to port 80 where we can access the application. All right, so then Nginx is a piece of software that is kind of the front end of the web server. All right, it is deployed. So let's go to this. Now it's deployed right now, not on HTTPS. It has to be deployed on HTTP first before we can deploy it on HTTPS. So it's deployed here. You'd see the slash through the lock here, meaning that this is not using HTTPS. This is not the secure protocol. This is the unencrypted, unsecure protocol, which is why if we try to log in, it's not going to work. The redirect URI mismatch because we did not put in an HTTP URL, and you're not allowed to in the Google Developer Console except for localhost. So we now need to enable HTTPS in order to proceed. So we do that with Dokku. Let's encrypt. And I believe it's let's encrypt. I should look it up rather than trying to do this from memory. Deploying an app. Okay, so we did the rebuild. Now this. Let's encrypt set. This is what we want. So let's just copy paste, and then we will change app name to team01 dev pconrad1. And if you're wondering what this is about, this is basically saying that if you're going to set up a secure application, you have to have a point of contact, someone that can be contacted if there is some problem or question with this secure application. So that's what's happening here. I'm setting that email to my email. When you set it up, you should set it to your email. Now we actually enable the HTTPS. So team01 dev pconrad1. If you've ever done this on your own website, there's often a lot of stuff you have to do. This nice little Dokku plugin makes it very easy. It just uses a certificate that the UCSB staff have already obtained. So we don't have to go through all of the process of obtaining a certificate and all of that. This is being done for us by the script. All right, so this takes a minute to set things up. hopefully in a moment. Now, what we hope is that we can go back over here to our React app and change this to HTTPS. And now hopefully we can log in and it works. Beautiful. I see also that I have admin access and I can log out. So this is good. This is basically what we needed to do to establish our team01. So let's go back to our Kanban board now. Let me see if I can find that here on the screen. Here's our Kanban board. I probably should have, and definitely should have, before I started on this, dragged this over to in progress. So my bad. We should have started with that right away. But now it is in progress. Let's look through our acceptance criteria. In general, the steps in deploying an app have been followed. Yes, that is true. Do we have an app, team01 dev, your GitHub ID on the Dokku server? We do. We did run that command. Yes, we did the admin emails. We configured Google OAuth. We configured the database. We enabled HTTPS. The main branch is deployed, and everyone on the team can log in. So we're done with this. So it says basically drag the issue for this into the done column because we don't do code review. So let's do that. Let's just close this, drag this over to done. And then it tells us in here what to do next. So next, drag the issue for commit into done, locate the issue, create database table for commit, assign that to yourself, drag it to in progress. All right. So, and then we're going to start a new branch. Let's go ahead and copy that so that we have that ready to go. And actually these first three, everything up to here is good, but I'm going to have to type in like a real branch name, not your branch name. So I'm going to copy all that. Now I'm going to find that issue that it talked about. Create database table for commit, drag that to in progress, open that up, and we will start on this in the next video. But just to finish up, we're going to do checkout B, and I'm going to call this PC create DB commit. Oops, I did this on the wrong system. This is Dokku, and these commands are intended to be done over here. So get fetch updates the get branch in my repo. Get checkout main, make sure I'm on the main branch. Get pull origin main, make sure I have all the latest commits from the main branch. And then get checkout B minus B is how I create my own branch. This is going to be create DB table commits. All right, I have done all of the steps to get ready for the next issue. So we will end this video here. Thank you for watching. And in our next video, we will talk about how to deal with the create database table issue that is part of this project. Thanks.